everybody. How are you today? Hello, this is Suki Haseo. Suki Haseo desu. Yoroshiku. I wanted to talk to you all about something that just happened in my home country just a few days ago. Um, I don't know if any of you know anything about this, but there was this terrorist group called Shining Path or Sendero Luminoso, how it's called in Latin America. And Abimael Guzman, the founder, died a few days ago. They're a militarized Communist Party of Peru, and apparently because he died due to complications to his health, something about his lungs. Now, let me tell you something. He died, and he was one of the worst terrorists we had here in Peru. He was a bloodthirsty person. Like, he killed without remorse. He was a monster through and through. So much so that if peasants didn't align with his ideology, and please take this into consideration, he was somebody that wanted the peasants to be with him because of communism. But if they didn't align with him, he would literally butcher that person and their family. And he wouldn't use guns with them. No, he said, and I quote, and this is just me paraphrasing what he said, "They are traitors to the country, so we shall not waste bullets on them. Use pickaxes and shovels and kill them with them." He would literally butcher kids and infants. It's very horrible. It's very, very gruesome. It was a horrible time back then. It was founded in 1969, and they were following the Marxist, Leninist, Maoism, and Gonzalo thought. That was basically their ideology. They believe in establishing a dictatorship of the proletariat and wanting to induce a cultural revolution like on Cuba. They thought that eventually the world will have a revolution and it will be all communism. They were basically the vanguard of the world communist movement, and their ideology and tactics have influenced other Maoist insurgents groups like the Communist Party of Nepal and Revolutionary Internationalist Movement affiliated organization. They were actually pretty unique in the fact that they have actually a very high portion of women. There were 50% of them were combatants, and 40% of the commanders were women. Yeah, apparently terrorists were not sexist. Who knew? Shiny Path has been widely condemned for its brutality, including violence deployed against peasants, trade union organizers, competing Marxist groups, elected officials, and general public. It's regarded as a terrorist organization by Peru, my home country, Japan, the United States, the European Union, and Canada, which consequently prohibit funding and other financial support for the group. Since the capture of the founder of Abimael Guzman in 1992, his successor, Conrad Artemio, in 2012, the Shining Path have declined in activity. However, they decided to become more involved with the elections, forming the Military Communist Party of Peru, the MPCP, which exists in El Valle de los Ríos Apurímac, N y Mantaro, aka Brahim, region of Peru. It has split from the Shining Path in order to maintain support of peasants previously persecuted by the Shining Path. But do not be misled, they're the same group. They're basically, if we're going to have to use a video game terminology, it's basically like a Blue Umbrella and Umbrella Corporation. It's just basically the same thing. It's just reskin. Oh, God damn it. Sorry. Okay, so what is really bothering me lately is the leader is dead, and rather than people rejoicing over the death of such a bloodthirsty butcher who committed genocide, they're crying for him. Not in, oh my God, finally we're free. No, they're crying, calling him a victim of, of circumstances, that the man was no terrorist, even though there's like thousands and thousands of not only anecdote evidence but actual evidence and people who sold him out. He was called the professor, and before he died, he was before he when he was captured. Sorry, he poked on his head violently and saying, "What's in up here," pointing at his head, "will never die. The ideology will continue on." That's basically what he was saying. I was born around the time that they were gonna get like captured, and the whole group was gonna be literally not obliterated, but really hurt due to the capture. Um, there was something called what was the name of this? On the Japanese embassy, they took control of it and basically kidnapped the embassy and everybody in there. Hold on. The Japanese embassy hostage crisis, the MRTA, which is the Tupac Amaru Revolutionary Movement, another organization that is similar to Shining Path. They took hostage of people in there. And this was on the celebration of the 63rd birthday of Emperor Akihito. They took it over, and well, it was on 1996, if I'm not mistaken. They were held for 126 days. Many of them were executed. I'm not talking about the hostages, I mean the hostage takers. Anyways, moving on. The common name of this group, Shining Path, distinguishes it from several other Peruvian communist parties with similar names. The name is derived from a maxim of Jose Carlos Maritiegui, the founder of the original Peruvian Communist Party. In the 1920s, Marxism-Leninism will open a shining path towards the revolution. This is me literally translating that from Spanish to English. The organization has many splinter groups following its collapse in support. One of them will be the Militarized Communist Party of Peru, the MPCP, which has about 450 individuals that remain on Brime. And the Brime region reportedly obtains revenue from cocaine trafficking and are reportedly led by two brothers since 1999, Victor and Jorge Quispe Palomino. The MPCP has attempted to recharacterize themselves to distance itself from the original Shining Path group that attacked rural communities in the area, describing Abimael Guzman as a traitor. They see him as a traitor, but if I have to be honest, they're just doing that like so they can distance themselves, but not really. So, anyways, the man dies, and rather than deal with his death as they should, like literally destroy his body and ship it somewhere else, they have trouble debating on what to do with the body. Like, should they give him to the wife, who is also a terrorist and is also in jail? And if they do give it to somebody else, will they make a mausoleum and make him into a martyr? And nobody wants to do anything about it. And they take like freaking 4 or 5 days. And the president decided to just like he felt this coming and decided to run away. He ran away to all the rural areas of Peru, where apparently he was singing traditional songs called Winos while this was going on, and he was playing the deaf person, like he was not listening to what was happening. The thing that really cemented the fall of the terrorist organization that I'm talking to you about today was the Tarata bombing. Now, let me tell you something about Tarata bombing. This happened on the 16th of July. It was one of my birthday, literally. It was horrible. It was like really horrible. It happened at 9:15 p.m. It caused 40 deaths, basically, and a lot of injured people, like around 250 or so. This is just me remembering the data. So the blast, they use a bomb, a car bomb, and it destroyed and or damaged around 180 something homes, around 400 plus businesses, and around 63 parked cars. The bombing happened because of a week-long Shining Path strike against the Peruvian government. With this, it galvanized public and the galvanization of a public outrage. The then president of Peru, Alberto Fujimori, intensified his crackdown on the insurgent groups, culminating on the capture on September of the same year of the leader of the Shining Path, Abimael Guzman, which itself led to the beginning of the end of the insurgency for the group and a decrease of terrorist activities, with less attacks happening after the capture of Guzman. It's apparently they also created other groups called MOBADEF, which is called Movement for Amnesty and Fundamental Rights, which is basically the name in English, and the Front for Unity and Defense of the Peruvian People, the FUDEP, which is basically a Shining Path in more like undercover as how do you call it? Political movements. The Movement for Amnesty and Fundamental Rights, MOBADEF, was created on November 20th of 2009 when Alfredo Crespo, the defense lawyer for Abimael Guzman, and 15 others gathered. MOBADEF has three sub-branches: the Central Historical Committee, the Provisional Central Committee, and the National Executive Committee, the CEN. The branch filed to become a political party in Peru with a national jury of elections in 2011, though the application was denied. The Peruvian government has accused MOBADEF of advocating terrorism, which they have. The other one is the Front for Unity and Defense of the Peruvian People, FUDEP, was created in 2015. In association with MOBADEF, the group announced that it had 73 provincial committees and allegedly received 400,000 to 500,000 signatures for the GNA, the National Jury of Election. GNA is Jurado Nacional de Elecciones in Spanish, to participate in the 2016 Peruvian general elections. They were ultimately prevented from participating in the elections. Basically, these people, Shining Path, around the 60s, late 60s, he was Abimael Guzman was a former university professor of philosophy. He wanted to be referred, and his father referred to him by his nom de guerre, President Gonzalo. He was somebody that was supporting an electoral boycott, and he also did so violently by attacking the caravans that were safeguarding the electoral ballots, blowing them up and killing the soldiers, and also attacking the places where people were voting. They followed strictly the teachings of Mao Zedong, which was an important contribution to the ideology of the Shining Path. This man They engage in criticism and self-criticism, a Maoist practice intended to purge bad habits and avoid the repetition of mistakes. But they were too bloodthirsty, and they always keep committing the same mistakes. In 1980, the Shining Path had around 500 members. When Peru's military government allowed elections for the first time in 12 years in 1980, the Shining Path was one of the few leftist political groups that declined to take part. It chose to begin guerrilla wars in the highlands of Ayacucho region. They burned ballot boxes in the town of Chuschi. It was the first act of war by the Shining Path. The perpetrators were quickly caught and additional ballots were shipped. The election proceeded without further problems, and the incident received very little attention in the Peruvian press. Obviously, because it was not that big a deal. But these kind of things tend to snowball, and you'll see when I finish telling this story. Through the 80s, the Shining Path grew both in terms of territory it controlled and in the number of militants in its organization, particularly in the Andean highlands. It gained support from the local peasants by filling the political void left by the central government and providing what they call popular justice, such as public trials that disregarded any legal and human rights that delivered swift and brutal sentences, including public executions. This caused the peasantry of some Peruvian village to express some sympathy for the Shining Path, especially in the impoverished and neglected regions of Peru, such as Ayacucho, Apurímac, and Huancavelica. At times, the civilian population of small neglected towns participated in popular trials, especially when the victims of the trials were widely disliked. So basically, they did a whole horse and donkey show. No, I mean horse and dog show. They did a violent spectacle which made people blood boil. Okay, so let's continue. Shining Path credibility benefited from the government's initially tepid response to the insurgency. For over a year, the government refused to declare a state of emergency in the region where Shining Path was operating. The Interior Minister, Jose Maria de la Jara, believed the group could be easily defeated through police action. Additionally, the then president, Fernando Belaúnde Terry, who returned to power in the 80s, was reluctant to cede authority to the armed forces since its first government had ended in a military coup. Yeah, that happened. The result was that the peasants in the area where the Shining Path was active thought the state was either impotent or not interested. And this is why they began to grow a lot. Basically, the government didn't want to do anything because they say, we can deal whenever we want to. And the other one is the president didn't want to give any power to the military because that president had a military coup happen to him. Okay? You all with me so far? Are you? It's apparently people can't hear me on my stream. What the hell? Let me check. Okay. What was the name of this? No, it's working. The audio is working. I'll load it. So, anyways, as I was saying, is it on? Yeah. What was it? Oh yeah. Basically, in 29th of December of 1981, the government declared an emergency zone in the Andean regions of Ayacucho, Huancavelica, and Apurímac, and granted the military the power to arbitrarily detain any suspicious person. However, the military abused this power, arresting scores of innocent people and times subjecting them to torture during interrogation, as well as rape. Members of the Peruvian armed forces began to wear black ski masks to hide their identities to protect their safety and that of their families. In some areas, the military trained peasants and organized them into anti-rebel militias called rondas that were generally poorly equipped despite being provided arms by the state. These rondas will attack the Shining Path guerrillas with the first such reported attack occurring in January of 1983 near Huata. Ronderos will later kill 13 guerrilla fighters in February 1983 in Saxamarca. In 1983, Ronderos brutally killed Olegario Curitomay, one of the commanders of the town of Lucanamarca. They took him into the town square, stoned him, stabbed him, set him on fire, and finally shot him. After that, the Shining Path retaliation to this was one of the worst attacks in the entire conflict, with a group of guerrilla members entering the town and going house by house, killing dozens of villagers, including babies, with guns, hatchets, and axes. This action has come to be known as the Lucanamarca massacre. Additional massacres of civilians by the Shining Path will occur throughout the conflict, however. They were not limited by the countryside. They also attacked the infrastructure in Lima, which is basically the capital of the country that I live in, killing civilians in the process. In 1983, it sabotaged several electrical transmission towers, causing a citywide blackout, and set fire and destroyed to the Bayer industrial plant. That same year, it set off a powerful bomb in the offices of the government party Popular Action, Acción Popular. Escalating its activities in Lima in June of 1985, it blew up electricity transmission towers in Lima, producing blackouts, detonating car bombs near Government Palace and the Justice Palace, and it was believed to be responsible for the bombing of a shopping mall. At the time, President Fernando Belaúnde Terry was receiving the Argentinian President Raúl Alfonsín. They also assassinated specific individuals, notably leaders of the leftist groups, local political parties, labor unions, and peasants' organizations, some of whom were anti-Shining Path Marxism. On April 24th of 1985, at the midst of the presidential election, they tried to assassinate Domingo Garcia Rada, the president of the Peruvian National Electoral Council, severely injuring him and mortally wounding his driver. In 1988, Konstantin Gus Gregory, an American citizen working for the U.S. Agency of International Development, was assassinated. 2 French aid workers were killed on December 4th of the same year. In 1990, the Shining Path had around 3,000 armed members at its greatest extent. The group has gained much control of the countryside of the center and south of Peru, and had a large presence on the outskirts of Lima. Shining Path began their fight against Peru's other major guerrilla group, the Tupac Amaru Revolutionary Movement, MRTA, as well as Campesino Self-Defense Group organized by Peruvian armed forces. Shining Path quickly seized control over large areas of Peru and had significant support among the peasants' community, and its support of some slum dwellers in the capital elsewhere. Shining Path Maoism probably did not have the support of many city dwellers. According to opinion polls, only 15% of the population considered subversion to be justifiable in June of 1988, while 17% considered justifiable in 1991. In June 1991, the total sample disapproved of the Shining Path by 83% to a 7% margin, with 10% not answering the question. Among the poorest, however, only 58% stated disapproval for the Shining Path. 11% said that they have favorable opinion to them, and 31% did not answer the question. Polls have never completely accurate since Peru has several anti-terrorism laws, however, including the Apology for Terrorism, which makes it a punishable offense for anyone who does not condemn the Shining Path. In effect, the laws made it illegal to support the group in any way, as it should. I mean, these people were freaking savages. According to multiple supports, however, the Shining Path received support from Gaddafi's Libya. And the 90s was when the Shining Path began to get beaten. It was when President Alberto Fujimori took office and responded to Shining Path with repressive force. It issued a law in 1991 which gave rondas a legal status, and from that time they were called the Committee of Auto Defense. Comités de Autodefensas, Committees of Self-Defense. They were usually armed, usually with 12 gauge shotgun and trained by the Peruvian army. There were approximately 7,226 communities, and almost 4,000 of them were located in the central regions of Peru, the strongholds of Shining Path. They also cracked down on them on other ways. Military personnel were dispatched to areas dominated by them, including especially Ayacucho, to fight rebels. Huancavelica, Ayacucho, and Huánuco were declared emergency zones, allowing for constitutional rights to be suspended in those areas, which, while it leaves a poor taste in the mouth, it was necessary because these people, they don't fight fair. You cannot fight fair with people who will not fight fair. In one of the last attacks in Lima, in July 16 of 1992, Shining Path detonated a powerful bomb in Tarata Street in the district of Miraflores, full of civilians, both adults and children alike, killing 25 and injuring around additional 155 or more. When they fell, now I'm gonna skip a lot of years now. Shining Path was reported to be they instituted violence against the LGBT people. In 1989 to 1992, they killed up to 500 non-heterosexual people. According to one woman who was kidnapped, a homosexual man's penis was cut into pieces before he was murdered. The government did not reveal the name of the victim, but the Shining Path defended its actions by stating the LGBT individuals were not killed because of their sexual identity. They were killed because of the degrading and promiscuous practice, and the people requested that they be executed. They're pretty nice folks, huh? And apparently they don't want to be in power. They're already in power. The president that we have right now has put people from that party on government. Yeah, one of them is the Minister of Labor, and the other one is a Ministry of Justice. This is the kind of people we have governing us. Nice, right? Well, not only that, but they are literally on the teachers' union. They're teachers now. They're teaching the children. And what do they teach them? Did they teach them history? No, they teach them select things that they want them to hear. They whitewash themselves, and they are apologetic, saying, "No, those people, they were not monsters. No, they were just fighting for freedom. They were heroes." Heroes. In a way, they might be correct. You kill one person, you're murdered. You kill more than 100, you're a hero. You kill everybody on sight, you're a god. History is made by those who win, and they were deemed as monsters. And now, they're not fighting in guerrilla warfare. They're not killing people. No, they're killing basically the ideology of freedom of speech. They're using the tools that democracy has against itself, because that's what they do. They insert themselves very subtly, and they slowly but surely make a trench so that others can get in easier, perverting what is the democracy. And it will end up like Venezuela is right now, and what Cuba is. It's horrible. These people, they want to make a mausoleum for Abimael Guzman. They want to glorify his killings, not calling it killings. Not only that, it's just that you will expect the government to do something about this, right? And there's this guy called Cerrón, which is the leader of the party that the president is from. And he made a tweet that really, really burned me something fierce. Cerrón. Where is... Here it is. I will translate the tweet. Okay? Okay, where is this tweet? God damn it. The pain that I feel in these moments are inexcredible. You left us, oh great philosopher and Peruvian thinker, fighting for your country, to the garden that will never stop blooming. We shall continue your legacy for the greatness and liberty of our Peru. Until then, my teacher. Can you believe this? I mean, Abimael Guzman, this man, he was a genocide. He killed people just because either they didn't go the same way he wanted to, or just because they were different, like the LGBT community. And now these people, they're fighting a different kind of war, not with weapons, but with words. They are, how do you call this, whitewashing history, making it so the sins of the past never existed, gaslighting people, brainwashing the next generation. If you ask anybody what is shining path in this country, I'm talking about Peru, they would not know, because it's never taught in schools, because they don't want that thing to come back. It's horrible. And some newspapers are helping with that. It's horrible. There is this newspaper called La República, which they literally sell out the country. This newspaper, I know I talked about the Japanese embassy hostage situation a while ago. Well, let me tell you a little bit something about that. Hostage situation, Japan embassy. What was the name of the... Chabin de Wantar. It's called the Operation Chabin de Wantar. What was the government doing, the military? They were making an underground tunnel onto the embassy so they can rescue the hostages. And you know what this incredible stupidity... No, well, it's not stupidity, because these people, they know what was going on. They knew what they were doing. It's horrible. They sold them out. It says, no, the underground tunnel does exist. Be careful, the government is lying to you. If it wasn't for the terrorists being unable to get the newspaper and all the communication being cut down, the whole thing could have come differently. A lot of people, innocent people, could have died. And now, there is one person who was taken hostage that literally asked for the autograph of the head honcho of the military... No, I'm sorry, for the MRTA militant group. And he held it in up high like it was some kind of trophy. And the guy now, he is in this government right now, and he was asking for Abimael Guzman to be freed, because he was not a terrorist. Apparently, he was just a militia fighter fighting for freedom, for equality. It's a very beautiful Very beautiful word, but where's the equality for the people that die because of those persons? Where's the equality for those who died without knowing why they died? People die a dog's death because of these people, both MRTA and Shining Path. They will kidnap children, little children, and they will take them to the jungle, indoctrinate them, and brainwash them, turn them into child soldiers and sleeper agents. This is not me making it up. If any of you do a cursory Google on that, you will see how these people operated. This kind of people now are in government positions. One of them now has access to all military secrets, and so, a few of them has ties with drug lords. So any raids that might happen to them, they will know and they will clear house and nothing will happen. Not only that, but because of the president we have, our how do you say this in English? Our national coin has gone down a lot. The coin that we have right now is called El Nuevo Sol Peruano, El Peruvian Nuevo Sol. There's a reason why it's called Nuevo Sol, the Peruvian Nuevo Sol, is because back in the 80s, I think it was the 80s? No, it was the 60s or 70s. We had a coin before this one called the Inti. Because of certain stupid decisions by certain stupid people that were in power, the money, the Inti, got so devaluated that you will literally need a SBU filled with it to buy a loaf of bread. And I'm talking about modern SBUs, right? Like, yeah. Right now, the Peruvian Nuevo Sol is 4.10 to a dollar. You need 4.10 approximately, because it goes up and down sometimes, in order 4.10 approximately of itself to equal $1. Yeah, that's how literally the money exchanges right now. Basically, the dollar has more buying power. That's because our coinage is being devaluated because we cannot be trusted. The country cannot be trusted because the president doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He keeps putting people in important positions of power that they have no business being in. There is one that was what is his name again? Okay, let's see. Bellido, his cabinet. How do you translate this? Guido Bellido, he put many ministers with questionable pasts. Some of them who presented apology to terrorism, BD, domestic violence, and some of them with zero experience. They put a girl just graduated from college in a position of power. I don't remember which one. Okay, let's see. One of them is called from Los Dinami. The president of the Parliament of Cusco is implicated in the case called Los Dinámicos del Centro, the dynamic of the center. It's a criminal organization that, according to the thesis of the according to the thesis, they dedicated themselves to hoard lots of money due to exploiting workers of the public workers of the regional government of Junin. Basically, they charge those people so they can work for the government, and they gave up a driver's license to people. They pay for the license. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to take a test or anything. Just paid and leave. They had audio evidence who were heard with the now prime minister, who was making deals to obtain the funds in order to pay his civil reparations for Vladimir Cerrón, the founder of Peru Libre, who was sentenced for corruption, who once had the who one was the governor of Junin. And after being criticized due to his apology to terrorism, Guido Bellido said that his declarations were edited. However, in one of the audios on El Caso de los Dinámicos del Centro, he said there was nothing delictive about it, and it was just natural because there were people of the same political party trying to help their leader, Vladimir Cerrón, which, that sounds and smells like BS. Another one that was, he's the Minister of External Affairs. He's a sociologist called Hector Bejar. He was a catedrátic who went to Cuba when he was 27 years old, and he joined the revolutionary guerrilla of said country, where he received military training, and he met the Che Guevara and the Cuban dictator Fidel Castro, for whom he has shown nothing but admiration. If you see his picture, this man reminds me of the old man from Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events. It's just dead on. He looks angry, like really angry, like he's soulless. Not only that, but he was arrested for sedition. However, he was given amnesty for the General Juan Velasco Alvarado. Apparently, this man, he also killed people. 3 people, actually. The brother of a priest, apparently. The Minister of Defense, called Walter Ayala. He was criticized for members of the high... How do you say this? For ex-high-ranking militaries. He put a lot of stops on the selection of magistrates of the Constitutional Tribunal that was happening on the Congress of Peru. He was also part of the police, of the National Peruvian Police, and he was how do you say this in English? Se fue dado de baja. They basically fired him in 1997 because he was giving information to somebody who was on the land. And he was also dealing with human trafficking, apparently. And he said, in his defense, that said accusations that were made in bad faith, and behind them are his political enemies, like the criminal organization called Los Cuellos Blancos del Puerto. Now, this is the Ministry of Employment or Job, I don't know how you translate it. Iber Maravi. He is the General Secretary of the Sindicato Único de Trabajadores en la Educación del Perú, the Unique Syndicate of Laborers for the Education of Peru, SUTEP. And he was pointed by newspaper periodicals as somebody with ties with the Conare SUTEP, who is part of the magisterial related with the movement for the amnesty and fundamental rights, Movadef, and related and tied by the police and the Fiscalia. How do you say Fiscalia in English? And he's also part of Sendero Luminoso, Shining Path. He apparently some when they were looking for Moravi for part. He was given an accusation due to disturbing the peace, aggravated assault, aggravated harm, among others, against the state, due to the teacher strikes in July 2004 in Huamanga. He destroyed the local government municipality, the Superior Court of Justice of Ayacucho, and other public establishments, according to reports. However, he said that he never belonged to Movadef, apparently. Then there is the Minister of Communication and Transportation, Juan Silva, which has the only tie of being a transporter, empresario transportista. How do you translate this? How long? Some things. A transporter businessman who basically deal with transportation, but he had no knowledge of intricacies of governments and stuff like that. However, he had a ton of tickets, according to many periodicals. Let's see. He also has he was also called out due to physical and psychological violence against his ex-wife in 2011. However, he never talked about it, and he's still, well, the Minister of Transportation and Communication. Minister of how do you call ecology, the medio ambiente. I mean, these people, they're amazing. I mean, they put the worst kind of people in power, and they done that on purpose. So Congress will have to how do you say this, waste one of their silver bullets, and then they can close Congress. What else? The Minister of Culture. Oh, I love this guy. I mean, seriously, it's like perfect. Like, you can tell the sheer amount of brain cells that people have in order to elect these people. And when I say the people that elected him, I'm talking about like they literally appointed him just, to mess around with the Congress. This the one who was designated as the Ministry of Culture was the lawyer Ciro Galvez, who tried to become a president in 3 occasions but failed. In August 2001, he was kicked out of the bus for being drunk and then proceeding to shoot in the air. Yeah, this kind of man, Minister of Culture, you can literally feel the culture in him. He also has a lot of how do you call this? Crimes of incompatible negotiation. Basically, like giving people, like normally in the government, you have to do a contest, like to see who gets the job in here. But apparently, he just asked for money, and whoever paid the most, they went in. They overcharge and underdeliver, but they didn't care. Whatever. Uh, he said that these things that happen, and they're saying and they're talking about him, they're just aggressions against his movement and his political party. Another one that just hides behind uh, race and social uh, inequality, of course. Then the Minister of Social Inclusion, Dina Boluarte, who is also the Vice President, which Dina Boluarte, if you don't, so I can tell you this, she's the president of ONPE, which is the how do you how do you explain this? The National Office of Electoral Processes. Basically, the people. She was the president of the organization that controls the electoral process, and she was the running mate for the current president, and the current president won. I don't know if you can see the correlation of this. Also, one thing that I should say, that she had to quit her job before being the running mate for the president. She didn't though. She only asked for a leave of absence because she says it's her right in case things don't go well with the government right now. She was also related to the Dinámicos del Centro, the case that we talked before. She also has a lot of how do you call this? She has a lot of complaints for uh, aggravated assault and stuff like that. She was the one who. She was one of the persons who pulled up money in order to help Vladimir Serron pay his civil reparations. Hmm. Uh, who else? Huh. The Ministry of Justice. This is another good one. His name is Anibal Torres. He has a lot of experience, like as a university doesn't. He was part of the legal team of Peru Libre after the second round of elections. He doesn't have any accusations, which to me is very concerning because if you shake somebody enough, dirt is going to come out. Mm-hmm. 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 So, in conclusion, things are not well in my country. They haven't been well. Things are gonna go worse. They're just gonna be worse. And there's nothing we can do right now because COVID, one of the things, and also it's just that the majority of the country think this guy is the second messiah, the current president. They can't see that the cabinet they have are people with subpar experience, or they just don't care at all. They just want to whitewash history and erase everything that their predecessors did, like the Shining Path, MRTA, etc., etc., etc. Schools haven't taught about the the true history of Peru. A lot of kids don't know their history, and we're gonna be we're gonna we're gonna repeat these problems sooner or later. All this history repeats itself because people won't learn from it, and they can't learn from them if they're not being taught. And they're not being taught because the people in power don't want people to know this. It doesn't play to the ideas they have, and I fear what might happen. I fear for this country's future, and I fear for people who speak out like I am currently doing. I mean, I am protected somehow due to my BNs, my tour, and being a VTuber because, you know, my real face is not being shown. But things will get worse. That's something I understand and accept because that's what's going to happen. All of the things happening here had happened in other countries with the same with the same with the same story. How a communist president comes into power, promises change, gives money away for like seemingly for free, but the money is not free, is it? Money has to come from somewhere. It comes from taxes. But the people think, oh, it's manna from heaven. And they don't question it because, you know, free money, right? Who doesn't like free money? I bet you'd like free money. I mean, I could use free money too, but it's not free money, is it? It's not. It comes from the suffering of other people. And right now, in this country, we don't have the vaccines we need. We are given subpar vaccines, ones that have a 13% efficiency. 13%. You know what's that? If I round it down, or if I round it to the nearest tenth, it would be 10%. All right, let's do it for math's sake. It's 10%. Just to round it down to a pair. Okay, let's say if 1,000 persons get vaccinated, how much would it be 10%? 10 people. Oh, wait, 100 people, sorry. 100 people for every 1,000. If it was 100, it'll be 10 people. And so on. It doesn't feel like much until you put into perspective how many people are in the country. Let me see total population of Peru. The total population is 32.51 million, but that's from 2019. It would probably be a little bit lower because of the COVID. Let me check. As of Friday, September 17, 2021, the population is 33,529,950. Yeah. The 10%, let's put this into consideration. Copy. 10%. Well, it wouldn't be a lot, but anyways, that's just 10% efficiency. That means that 10%, the X amount of people, that is 10% of that, would be inoculated. That's not much in order to get the, what do you call this, herd immunity. Because you need more than half. But that's just 13%. It's not exact thing. It can happen or not. It's like playing a casino, in playing a like poker or whatever at a casino, and you're playing against the odds. Like literally, it's more likely than not that you will not be inoculated, and you will have to take at least 5 to 6 shots to be inoculated. But vaccines don't work like that. They're not like stackable buffs. Stackable buffs. That's funny. Not trying to be funny. It's just hilarious how I have to explain with this kind of terminology. So, anyways, they don't stack. You need something better with at least above a 40% efficiency. And those vaccines are available. They are available. They cost a fair amount, which, to be fair, it's fair because, you get what you pay. But in my country, we are overpaying for this crappy vaccine. And we're told, hey, yeah, you're going to be fine with it. You're going to be fine. You're not, though. It's a lie. It doesn't protect you because its efficiency, it's very low. You have higher chances of not being inoculated by it than it working, Some people, and by people I mean the ones that work as doctors and nurses, giving you the injection, they say, just get yourself a little shot of water. It'll protect you. Yeah, like. And one of them actually told me to get the hell out when I asked them why they're giving the crappy vaccine, telling me like I shouldn't be talking about that. People need the vaccines. No, they need vaccines that work. They need things that work, things that will protect them, things that will have more chances of keeping them healthy and keeping others from being infected. But apparently, I'm a rabble rouser because of that. Rabble rouser. I like that term. Professional rabble rouser. Food for thought. So, right now, a few days ago, I went to the US Embassy because I needed to renew my passport. I was not aware my passport had expired a few years ago. And as soon as I get my passport back, I am traveling to a neighborhood country in order to get vaccinated. Because the vaccine that I need to use, the vaccine that actually works, is not found in this country, but in neighborhood countries, in more, developed countries. I'm not trying to say my country is underdeveloped, which, by the way, to be fair, it kind of is. It's not a third world country, it's a 2.0 world country, give or take, maybe second world. But I expected so much from this country, but at every turn, I'm just like literally very disappointed. The people, they don't do their due diligence. They don't learn about who their candidate is. They elect somebody just because, communism is great, yeah, hooray, yeah, down with the proletarian. But they're just mimicking things like a parrot. They didn't realize until it's too late about who they chose. And now we're screwed. We're really, really screwed. It will not show itself right now, but soon it will show up soon, in a few years. It's not something that will be seen very soon, but give it a couple of years, and you'll see the harm that it did to the economy. Right now, the chicken, it's so freaking high. And it's horrible. The bread has risen in price. The bread was what, 40 cents the loaf for ciabatta or French bread, but now it's 60. Excuse me, join the chat. Uh-huh. And it's horrible to see how this country is coming. It should not be this way. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, between the two contestants that we have for presidency on the second round, I didn't like either, but I prefer Keiko Fujimori over the president we have. I might have hated her guts, but at least we know what she was gonna be doing. The current president we have, he has no idea where he's going. He has zero plans. He ditches, basically, when the things are too tough. You can see it. Because rather than dealing with Abimael Guzman's death and how to handle it, he decided to go into the rural area of the country and sing huaynos. Which, if some of you didn't know, most of the people of this country, they sing huaynos when people died in order to celebrate and mourn them. And the president has ties to that organization, whether it's proven or not. They seen him close to those kind of people, but they're just saying no, those are lies. But there is physical evidence for that, and I have no idea where this is going. I don't know how this country will will fare. To those who are watching my stream, I apologize if it's laggy. I don't have the best internet, and as I said before, I won't be able to get any better internet because of the geo-social economic problems on my home country. I don't make enough money for being able to pay for better internet. And now I also have to take care of my dog who has developed a tumor. And I just don't have the money for it. That's why, if it's possible for any of you, please, if you can help her, not me, if you can help her, my dog, Sasha, if you are able, and only if you're able, please donate any denomination that you can. I put my coffee link on my Twitch site and on Twitter. I should be putting it up my Twitch later. I have no idea how to do these things, but I'm gonna try my best. If any of you wants to see the video in a much better quality, you can see downstairs my YouTube channel right there. Please do give it a go. You can also find my link to my coffee in the description of my YouTube channel. I mean, yeah, also my YouTube channel description. And thank you very much for listening to this ramble and little history lesson. I thank you all for your time and your patience. And it's justお時間をいただきありがとうございます。Merci por votre temps. Gracias por su tiempo y su amabilidad. And with that, without further ado, I must say my goodbyes. Thank you very much. You've been a lovely audience. And next time I will be doing a reading of a storybook of my home country called Paco Yuke, Junque. It's a children's storybook written by the Spanish Peruvian poet Cesar Vallejo, and it was published posthumously in 1951. I will read the story next time. So please do drop by, and thank you. And enjoy the moonlit fantasy. Have sweet dreams. A good day at work. Goodbye. So long. Farewell. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen, adieu. Goodbye.